Hello, and welcome to our talk series, Aspects of Japanese Studies. I'm Junko Habu, the chair of the Center for Japanese Studies, or CJS, and I'm the host of today's show. Aspects of Japanese Studies is a talk series that showcases the research being conducted by faculty, graduate students, visiting scholars, and alumni of the CJS. Each speaker will present a casual 15-minute talk on her or his ongoing project or key research topics in the field of Japanese studies. You can submit questions at any point during the talk using the chat function. Please do not use Q&A function. Our speaker today is Ms. Rika Nikra, a visiting master's student at the CJS from Tokyo Institute of Technology. Professor Dana Buntrock of the Department of Architecture will introduce Rika. Dana, please.
Thank you so much, Junko. Hi, everyone. I'm really glad you're here with us today. It's a delight to be able to introduce Rika Nikra from Tokyo Tech. Rika is a master's student at Tokyo Tech, and she has been with us on campus since February of this year. We have an exchange between the University of California, Berkeley and Tokyo Tech that allows for master's students to take an opportunity to work with faculty on either campus. And we've also frequently had faculty exchanges. I've been able to teach at Tokyo Tech. We've had a number of people from the Department of Architecture and also from the Department of Nuclear Engineering who've participated in these exchanges. It's a lot of work on both sides. Kumi Hadler is one of the people who does the work on this side. And there are a number of staff that I've met on the Tokyo Tech campus who are very committed to this program. And I think it's a wonderful program. Rika herself was expected to come here late last year, but the pandemic got in the way. And I felt like she was the bluebird of spring when she arrived in February. For all I know, she might be one of the earliest visiting scholars in the country to come after the pandemic began. And I found that rather courageous. She was here as things were opening up. She's made an effort to go down to LA a number of times for her research and gotten into a number of buildings that were either just opening up or had not yet opened up. She's been very diligent about starting to put together her ideas about what's important. And I'm delighted to have her sharing some of that work with you today. One of the things that's really interesting about Rika is that she has a really good eye. She can get a lot out of even looking at a photograph. And she also draws beautifully. So she's able to diagram some of these things in a way that I think you will find very interesting. So with that, I'm going to go away and let Rika take over. Rika, thank you so much for speaking today.
Thank you for the beautiful introduction, Dana. Okay, I'm going to share my screen. Okay, can you see this? Right, so it's my honor to talk about my study at such a wonderful opportunity. But before starting my presentation, let me introduce a brief background to this talk. As someone who was born, grew up, and educated in Japan, I am now interested in modern Southern California houses and studying about them. It could be said that the reason I'm studying them is just because I like them. But I feel that there must be something to do with me as a Japanese, because what especially attracts me is their treatment of human perspective and appreciation of outdoors, both of which are also rooted in Japanese culture. Since CJS has offered me such a wonderful opportunity to look into that essential question of my research, I'd like to share what I have found out from this exploration. First, let me introduce you to an overview of trends in the first half of the 20th century in Southern California. Speaking about traditional houses and lifestyle of Southern California, an adobe house is a typical one. This is the oldest in Los Angeles and is called a Villa Adobe, which was built in 1818. I actually visited it and learned how local people open their house to the outdoors. For example, each room has access to the porch on one side, and the other side faces a patio where they can do laundry or cooking or just relax. In the 20th century, a house became a home. It was no longer a place just for the household, but a place where people can enjoy their private lives in the way they want. Southern California attracted modern people who were looking for a new casual lifestyle because of its mild climate and a culture which connected the indoors to the outdoors. Southern California also caught the attention of pioneer architects of the modern movement. For instance, Irving Gill, who escaped from freezing Chicago, discovered the charm of mild weather and never left. Rudolf Schindler and Richard Neidhardt, who came all the way from Vienna and once worked for Frank Lloyd Wright, appreciated this climate and landscape where their talents blossomed. One of the architects' approaches was designing furniture and architecture integrally while respecting the region's pleasant environment and culture of an indoor-outdoor connected lifestyle. Here, interestingly, the architect designed a couch in many houses, presenting their thought in terms of humans. In this way, the human perspective emerged as a focus of the architect's interest. To discuss the making of residential living from a human perspective, I will introduce a case study comparison of one house from my research and the traditional Japanese. The house we are going to see today is called Kings Road House, which was designed by Rudolf Schindler and was built in 1921 to 22 in Los Angeles. It's actually still standing on the same site, so you can visit it if you are interested. Rudolf Schindler was born in 1887 in Vienna and came to the United States and worked under Frank Lloyd Wright. It was in 1920 that he came to Los Angeles to help with Wright's ongoing project, a house for Mrs. Bernstall. Even after its completion, he never left Southern California, where his talent matured under its sun. This Kings Road house is a house for two couples, the Schindlers and the Chases. It stands in a flat residential area and is designed so that each person has their own room with outdoor access. So technically, each room is a private room, but since their use is more public and there are no living room in this house, each can be regarded as a kind of living room. This is the interior view. Obviously, a lot of Japanese influence can be observed, such as the way wood is used or the shoji-like sliding doors. But when I visited this house, I felt a kind of comfort that I have known and was familiar with, beyond the mere similarities of physical elements. In fact, Japanese culture and design were in fashion at the time in the United States and in California as well. It's possible that not only Japanese tangible design, but also Japanese concept of human perspective and relation with the outdoors were imported. Schindler often gave his opinion about human perspective and its relation with the outdoors. Although he didn't directly mention Japan regarding those points, he practiced his idea in his furniture and architecture design. So I thought it would be interesting to examine his space from the viewpoint of what traditional Japanese concepts have emphasized. Before studying Kings Road House, I will introduce the typical traditional Japanese living space. Today, I will take the washitsu as a typical example. Washitsu means Japanese room, acknowledged as a room that summarizes Japanese residential history, custom, and a sense of nature. This is the illustration of washitsu. The room is about 1.5 feet above the ground because of the Japanese shoes-off culture and humid climate. The floor is covered with tatami mat, which have standard dimension and is equipped with the sliding doors such as fusuma or shoji. Also, it has a garden aligned to the room, and engawa, which is a kind of narrow sunroom, runs between the room and the garden. The tokonoma is a small alcove to hang an art piece. Sometimes a tokonoma has a tsukishoin, which is a projected alcove. Though now the tokonoma is more like a part of interior decoration, its origin was a desk where people could work by taking the advantage of its location facing the natural light. In daily family life, people indoors prefer to sit facing a garden because in Japanese culture, a garden is something to appreciate rather than a place to walk around. In other words, the garden, or simply the outdoors, plays the role of giving a static mood to the interior while guiding the line of the sight of the people indoors. Also, in Japanese traditional residences, people indoors are supposed to sit rather than stand or lie down. This could be because of etiquette, but one of the possible reasons in terms of the relationship with the outdoor is that interior is designed for viewing the outdoor best from the seating position. The fact that the space can be designed from a certain seating perspective is based on the Japanese seating style. Unlike Western, who uses the seating furniture, the Japanese sit on the floor indoors. Consequently, in the Western world, the human perspective has been less considered since the view varies from each seating furniture. In contrast, the human perspective has been taken into account more in the Japanese interior because the eye levels of Japanese rely on our body scale. So the view of the garden from Washitsu would be like this. By calculating that the floor level is about 1.5 feet above the ground, a wide opening towards the garden works like a picture frame from the standard floor seating position. In addition, the smooth connection from tatami mats to the garden via the engawa flooring gives a gradual exposure of the view while serving as a sense of connectivity to the ground. Let's check out how it looks if you stand. The straight view from the standing position would be blocked too much by the hanging wall. To be more specific, you will feel your upper view is narrowed because of hanging wall and the low height of shoji sliding doors. Also, if you drop your gaze from the standing position, the angle of the view will be too steep and it makes you feel a little uneasy. This explains that the Japanese interior was designed to be oriented to the outdoors to offer pleasant feeling for view, specifically from sitting position. So now let's move on to Schindler's Kingsroad House based on what we just learned from Japanese typical residential living. The room we are going to look into is Schindler's wife Pauline's room. The outdoor facing this room, called a patio, was expected to be used actively as a play space for children and a place for parties, unlike the outdoors of Japanese houses. This is the view of the interior. The couch in the center was designed by Schindler and installed to face the wall from the beginning. Since Schindler considered furniture as a component of architecture, understanding the living space from this couch will be meaningful. Let's get into the house. If we sit on the couch, the view would be like this. The relatively low height couch is situated to let the seater feel the breeze and the sunlight on their back while turn away from the path where people pass by. Since it's facing the wall and it's protected on the left side by another wall and a fireplace, a sense of security is provided. Also, this effect enhanced by the beam running above the couch, which lowers the visual impression. Then you may wonder, what if the couch faces the outdoors? This is the probable view from the couch. when it's facing the outdoors. The wide opening with the sliding doors along the path is introduced to encourage the continual use of indoors and the actively used outdoors. So although this seating situation is good for the purpose of serving the openness, it's not possibly ideal for a calm respite since it's little too exposed to the activity. In keeping with what we examined from each cases, the Boshitsu and Kings Road, two main points can be discussed. First, it can be said that human perspectives are oriented in response to the characters of outdoors. In the Boshitsu case, the static mood of outdoor is associated with the calm sitting of the indoors. While in the Kings Road house, the orientation of the indoor seating is situated contrarily to the active outdoors. Second, the interiors are designed suitable for each seating style. Here, let me show a small case study of what happens if the seating styles are exchanged between Boshitsu and the Kings Road house. In the Boshitsu case, although the wide opening still works as a sort of picture window from the couch level, the sense of connectivity with the ground on the gradual continuity to the outdoors are lessened. While in Kings Road house, the air volume of our house gets larger and the pressure from the wall becomes bigger when we sit on the floor. In addition, the closeness to the floor as well as the fireplace causes an earthy feeling. As this short experiment shows, a proper design approach is essential for the making of ideal relationship among the ground, the floor, and the human body and perspective. But although these seating styles and surrounding interiors are different, it seems they have a common underlying concept. I would say it's a pursuit of a sense of security as a human being or as an animal. In the Boshitsu, being so widely open makes people feel insecure, but since people are touching the floor with almost half of their body, that ensures their stability and it feels secure. In the Kings Road house, although people contact the ground only with their feet, the surrounding elements like the wall or the fireplace provide some sense of protection to the sitter. Interestingly, in terms of the heights of the eye levels from the ground, both cases are almost the same. In closing, I'd like to show you one interesting case that contains the ideas from Boshitsu and Kings Road house. This house is the Japanese architect Kiyoshi Seike's own house. Although Japanese people have a shoes-off custom, which requires a gap between the ground and the floor, he experimented with the Western shoes-on lifestyle by placing the floor on the ground level. So in terms of the architectural composition and the indoor-outdoor connection, it looks like the Kings Road house. However, he placed neither tatami mat nor built-in couch. Instead, he invented a set of mobile tatami mat. So this is a probable view from the mobile tatami mats. They allow for flexibility in seating styles and accessibility to the yard, while staying close to the ground like typical tatami mats. Today, I discussed the human perspective associated with the outdoors and the design of the indoors that respond to the human view, and understand both are essential to ensure comfort and sense of security. I hope you enjoyed this talk. Thank you so much for listening.